Today is Saturday, April 1st, aka the first day of Camp NaNoWriMo, which I'm not going to be doing, but we're going to get into that. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Caitlin Asche, and on this channel I document my writing journey while working full-time, diving into my new project, which is Project Industrial. I have a few videos about it in the past. If you're interested in any of those will be linked down below. And there is a full playlist for each of my projects linked down below as well. I'm still working on the pitch for it, but it is going to be a multi-POV adult fantasy that is loosely inspired by the early Industrial Revolution and is commentary on Alice in Wonderland. That's the current pitch right now. That's probably gonna change because I am still in the very early brainstorming phases. And that's what I'm doing today. First, I'm going to address, my last video was me explaining how I'm no longer a barista and I am changing jobs. It's a very long story, but I am currently in between my jobs right now. I have a bit of time to rest. I've been recovering from burnout from my old job where I used to manage a coffee shop. Coffee is not leaving this channel, as you can see. I made it during some of the B-roll because it's still a special interest of mine, but I'm not going to be doing it professionally anymore, at least for the time being. But I'm now rested enough that I feel like I can start a writing vlog and I can just do a writing vlog for the entire amount of time until I start my new job. I'm starting this new project while my other main project is in the query trenches. I am currently in the waiting period. I'm waiting for responses. I have this notebook that I'm completely just brain dumping everything right now. I have about 35 pages worth of brain dumping and brainstorming and arranging like POVs, like for not quite an outline, but just like trying to like figure out placements of POV chapters, at least at the beginning, character background stuff, research in the Industrial Revolution, and all the stuff that it goes into prepping for a new project. Mainly, I have a prep to-do list that is everything I need to do before I can start drafting this project. I've named all of the main characters and the side characters now. I finished that this morning, which I think is like mainly the biggest thing for me because I normally am terrible at naming things. So I named everything that is in this, at least this prep portion. As I start drafting and outlining, I know there will still be characters that do pop up randomly. I have a list of random female names, a list of random male names, and a list of random like possible non-binary character names with definitions so that I have some ready to go that like names that might fit into this world that I haven't used yet. Because this world is like, at least language wise, I am basing it off of the Arctic region, anything that is a language that like touches the Arctic region because it is a polar desert. There's been like Russian, Eastern European, Icelandic, all of these different languages that I've been kind of like looking into names and then changing some names up, changing a letter here and there to kind of make it more unique so it's not like from a specific language in our world because this is a fantasy world. So I've named the important places and I have named the characters, which I can check off. Let's do that now. Okay, name characters and places. Check. Left, I have backstory of the 3 POV characters. Right now I only have one of them really clear in my mind. I don't have it all like written out yet, but like her story just came to me. It's very, very clear. Her love interest, I don't know. She's the murkiest character for me right now, where I'm still trying to figure out who she is, what she even looks like. I have her name and I have like some of her story in my head of like what her plot beats are gonna be and like her role in the story itself, but who she is and what she looks like still has not come to me. And I'm gonna be trying to work on that a little bit today. I'm thinking maybe like scrolling through Pinterest a little bit, seeing if I can get some pictures of different models or something like that I can kind of like do a face claim for her, and maybe once I have a face claim for her, it'll be easier to figure out who she is. The other POV character is a non-binary character, and I'm super excited to have that representation in my stories. The 3 main characters are 2 sides of a sapphic romance, and then there's a non-binary character that's also asexual. Those are the 3 POVs of this story. I'm not gonna go too far into detail because I still don't know what those details are just yet, but I'm making sure that there's representation that I care about and representation of like me in there. I'm also excited to write a story with a character having they them pronouns as like a main character, and I feel like that's going to be a nice writing exercise for me and like figuring out like, so it's way more natural for me using they them pronouns in general for most people. Because like I do have some non-binary friends, and I've been trying to, in my speech, make they, them like kind of like my standard before I know someone's gender, but I know that I can do better, and I hope that in writing a character that has they, them pronouns help my brain in my actual speech when I am talking about non-binary people, that I can, the more and more ideas I get for it, the more I'm like, this is an ambitious project and it's going to take a lot of work. In the past, I've done some outlining for Project Moon, which was a hot mess. My City project, I completely pantsed the first draft. That one took so many drafts because I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know my process at the time. And I still don't know my process. I'm still figuring that out. I have learned that participating in a traditional NaNoWriMo just isn't going to work for my process. It's too messy because all you're focusing on word count, getting that word count for the day, and the quality of the words just aren't there. Like, I do think it is good to be in that mindset of don't look back at what you're writing, just keep going, hit that word count, but I think that's too fast of a pace for me. If I'm going to do a drafting goal in the future for whatever project, I'm only gonna make it like 25K for a month maybe. Just that NaNoWriMo mentality of like getting the words out, it doesn't work for me. So I'm never gonna do a traditional NaNoWriMo again. I may start a new draft for NaNoWriMo, but I'm not going to have a 50K word goal. It just turns into more work for me as a writer when I'm in the editing stage. So this project is going to be me figuring out what my true process is as a writer. I'm doing way more prep. I'm not completely pantsing this draft. And I think I'm going to do kind of like a zero draft or like an extended outline where I figure out exactly what's going on in each chapter, in each individual scene, telling the story to myself in that sense, and then focus on the actual writing of it after I get that done. I don't know if I'm going to refer to that as an outline or a zero draft, but I think that I might need that. And I'm just figuring it all out. That's kind of the fun part of this. I'm still in this exciting, like, endless possibility stage. Okay, I figured I would show you guys how I set up my Scrivener document. It could be better. I'm still learning the features, but I transferred all of the brain dumps from my notebook to the notes section here. Set up so that there's like an outline type beginning of things, so that once I actually do start to outline, I like know what POVs I'm going to do. That's going to be like farther down the line though. I have the manuscript, which is still completely blank right now. I'm not going to touch this folder until I start drafting. I only did the 3 POV characters in the character section for now. I think that's going to be good enough for me. And then I'm going to, down here in this folder, which is POV arcs, expand upon other characters in each one of these. These are all blank right now. So I kind of organized it so it's like the 3 POV characters, Harlow, Mir, and Raisa. So each of the POVs has a document that's going to have all the relevant characters and their information on it, a brain dump for their POV, and then I'm also going to add another document that's just going to be the entire story arc of this POV and like what happens in this entire POV. It is a few days later. I desperately need to wash my hair, so please excuse the state of my hair right now. I did not continue vlogging for the week because my sister-in-law ended up coming into town, and then I'm watching my mom's dogs while she's out of town, and it's just been a lot of driving and a lot of going everywhere, and I haven't had time to write until today, and today is the 6th. I am currently on Zara's stream for the Inimitable Books LLC. They will be linked down below. Zara's publishing company that has just started, so writing streams are happening all the time. And we're currently on the final sprint, and I have gotten a lot done. Currently, I moved everything in my brain dump note and like copy pasted each individual note into like a corresponding folder so that I have it like within a POV chapter brain dump or a character description or like anything like that. And then I also created a few more place folders, and so it's like individual buildings like a castle, or there's a setting called the Weaver's Cottage, so I can just have the folders laid out and I can just edit and like add anything that I need. Once I was done organizing and inputting everything from my brain dump into the corresponding folder, I started working on the backstory of one of my POV characters. I'm trying this new thing where, at least for the main POV characters, maybe not the side characters just yet, before I start drafting and outlining, I'm creating the complete backstory of each of the 3 POV characters and just writing for myself their story from childhood to where they are now, so that I know everything that they've been through, who they are as a person, and like how their traumas might affect who they are, not today, but like at the beginning of the story, so that I can kind of have that in my head space and I can truly know each of my POV characters on a very deep level. And I think it's giving me so much more of an idea of like how like each character, what their relationship is with certain side characters, like their parents, or like characters that like 2 of my main POV characters like grew up together. It is going to be like an enemies to lovers romance between the 2 of them. So they grew up together and like grew up hating each other, and like figuring out that history between them, helping me figure out her side of their the story of them hating each other growing up. I like this method a lot, and I feel like I'm really getting to know who she is. This is definitely going to be harder with the other 2 POVs, I think, because this is the character that truly has been like speaking to me, and I know the most about her between the 3 of them, where her love interest in this enemies to lovers romance, like I have her name, but I don't even know what she looks like in my mind's eye yet. Like she's not speaking to me yet, but I will get there. I do lean more on the pantsing side. I'm a bit of a planter, but this time I think even if I don't have a full outline or I know where the story is going to go, I know the history of my main characters and on such an intimate level, and I think that is truly what's going to make the characters shine, even in the first draft. At least these 3. Side characters, who knows? We'll see. Don't you love when you go to make something and then realize that you're out of one of the ingredients halfway through making it? I just went to make myself a London fog and I am out of oat milk. So now it's just going to be Earl Grey tea with a little bit of lavender and cinnamon syrup. I didn't brew enough water for a straight cup of tea. I just brewed enough for like half full, and now not brew, but like boil, that's the word. I didn't boil enough water for a full cup of tea. I just did it for half a cup of tea, and now I'm waiting for this water to boil again. I'm gonna say this is gonna be the last day of the vlog, just because I start work on my new job on Monday, and I kind of want to spend tomorrow just like mentally prepping for that and not have to worry about focusing on a writing vlog. So this is the last day of the vlog. So I realized that the character backstory stuff that I was doing the last time I talked to you guys, it was kind of very similar to how I used to do that back when I was in theater and acting. I realized that I kind of started doing that subconsciously, where I just was doing a character bio in an actor type of sense, where if you're unfamiliar with what the process is when you're playing a part in a play or a musical, is at the beginning of the production, you usually are assigned to do character bios by your director, where you just deep dive into the character that you're playing, create their backstory, their relationships with all the other characters in the story, and like their objectives and their tactics, and I realized that that's what I was doing. And I can't believe I've never actually done this for my writing, because it's a way for me to use my theater background and incorporate that into my writing. I've never thought of going about it in that way. And now I'm wondering if like I should try using acting techniques that I used to use for theater, trying to get into the heads of my characters when I'm actually writing scenes from their point of view, and just kind of get into that headspace and like truly figure out like what's going on in their mind during a scene using that method. And I'm kind of like Oh, did I just figure something out for my method of writing? It's exciting. I am going to continue the second character that is a POV character. I'm going to continue her backstory. If I have the headspace after that, I will work on the backstory of a non-binary character that I'm really excited to dive into. I washed my hair last night and fell asleep with it still wet and didn't put any of my curly products in, so it's just kind of like, it's doing its own thing. When I had the thought of like, oh, this is what I was actually doing, and realizing that I was treating it like I was an actor about to play this character, I pulled up some character analysis, character bio worksheet for acting specifically and not for writing. And I'm realizing that these worksheets work for me in the way that my brain assesses characters because I come from a theater background. When I'm incorporating a story, my brain kind of sees it through an actor's lens and not quite a writer's lens. Even though it do, but like I just realize it's how my process works, and I think that the worksheets like this are gonna help me so much more than any writing worksheets do, because it's more tailored to specifically this story, figuring out their backstory, their ambitions, saying like, who are your parents? Are they in the play or in the story, in the musical? What do they do? Do they have any other siblings? Are those relatives in this story? Are you going to be interacting with these other characters? It's more focused on like that type of thing. There still is like kind of like favorite color, favorite food, favorite song, but it's more like, what is your body need? Where usually when you're like portraying a character as an actor, you kind of have to figure out their posture and make it different from your own. And the way to make it completely different from your own is to pick a body part and just have them lead with that when you're walking as that character. So like, say more like slutty male character is gonna lead with his pelvis, or a like more provocative like woman character, the stereotypical like character archetype of just like the, what's the word, seductress or whatever. Like she's probably gonna lead with her boobs and be swinging her hips, but like she's gonna lead with her chest. And then there's some people that like they'll have an injury of some sort on like their wrist or something like that. They're gonna have a tit. It's just little things like that. It's like all of a sudden it's just something clicked in my brain when I thought about it, and I was like, mind blown, you know? There's specifically like some questions on these that are like, how is this character different from you? And you have to write a full paragraph. You can't just write a sentence. It'll be easier to get myself in the headspace of a character writing from their POV if I start doing these things. And then there's also like a, how is this character similar to you? I'll link this one that I have pulled up right now. I'll link it down below because it will have people understand kind of what I'm talking about. It kind of goes into objective, obstacle, and tactics, which are acting terms. The objective is like, what does your character want in this specific scene? And as an actor, you have to think about that. And it's like, okay, how am I going to portray that this character has this objective in this scene? Or then the super objective is their objective for the entire play. It's always just, what does this character want? It should be no longer than a sentence. Some of this might be similar terminology to like some writing techniques, but it gave me a burst of inspiration of like, I'm gonna use this tactic because this is the tactic I understand and grew up with. For every objective, there has to be an obstacle, which creates conflict, and it makes the character interesting and more real. Tactics are the different strategies that the character is gonna use to overcome the obstacle and obtain the objective, where the tactic, it's an active thing. It's a verb that they can use to get to their objective. I'm so happy that I realized this, and that I think it's going to be easier for me to go into a new draft with this mindset instead of the mindset that it was in the past. Because it's like, I'm still new to drafting novels, and because I've only drafted, well, technically 2, but the first one I never edited, and I've only like drafted and edited one to completion once. Project Industrial is my like dive into figuring out what my process is moving forward, because I'm to the point where it's like, okay, I've done some things, I know what doesn't work, I want to figure out what does work for me and what I can continue to use for future projects. And I feel like this is something that I can use. I'm excited about it now, and I'm gonna dive into the next character and update you guys after I get them done. I am about to wrap up my writing session, which isn't really writing, but it's writing because it's character backstory, I guess. I finished the second character, which it kind of like gave me the idea, like as I was doing it, that I was like, you know, when I'm outlining, I'm going to, at the beginning of like every scene or chapter or whatever, I'm going to like figure out the objective of each of the characters in that scene or in that chapter. At the very least, the POV character. I'm figure out their objectives and have that ready to go before I start writing. And I feel like that is going to help me out so much. Figuring out all the little things, I guess. But as I am wrapping up this writing session, I'm going to end the vlog here. I don't know when my next one is going to be because I start the new job this week and I don't want to like stress myself out with vlogging while I'm settling into the new job and figuring out what my new routine is going to be, my new schedule, that type of thing. I will probably still be finding writing time here and there, but I'm not going to vlog it. So once I'm settled in and figured all that out, I will start a new vlog. You guys are coming along with me as I figure out what my process is for each project. I'm excited to be able to look back on this and possibly, like, if I'm stuck like a few years down the line on a certain project, I can go back and find new methods or like old methods if I've changed my methods, you know? If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're new here, my name is Caitlin Asche. On my channel, I am documenting my writing journey, and currently I'm pursuing the traditional publishing path and in the query trenches with one project, and I'm starting this other one. And I also host occasional writing sprints, so look out for those when those happen. There's no schedule for those at the moment, at least. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to go relax and figure my life out.